Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in today's video, we'll be talking about the horoscope for the month of April 2023. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So up on the screen here is a depiction of the different transits that are going to take place during this month of April. And this is a huge month as we are going to have a solar eclipse along with Jupiter finally making its way into the sign of Aries. We have a lot of activity mainly happening within the sign of Aries. So especially for those of you who have a cardinal sign or one of the Kendra signs, or if you have a fire sign, then this is going to be a major month for you. So starting off here, we have a full moon in the Hasta Nakshatra. So this is definitely a time of letting go. The full moon we know is all about bringing things to a place of completion. And Hasta, especially as it is signified by a hand or a fist, is about grasping onto things. So this full moon is all about letting go of those tight attachments that you have that are no longer serving you. The sign of Virgo, as we know, is ruled by Mercury. So there's a lot of analysis, a lot of intellectual powers that are within this sign of Virgo. So this especially is about letting go of anything that you are worrying about, that you are trying to predict that might happen, really getting out of that space of anxiety and overanalyzing, letting go of all of those worries and concerns that no longer serve you. Following this, Venus will enter into its own sign of Taurus on the same day here on the 6th of April. So Venus feels very comfortable in the sign of Taurus. However, when Venus comes into Taurus, it will be hemmed by the Sun and Mars. So this is a bit of a difficult position for Venus to be, as the Sun is definitely an enemy of Venus and Mars is a malefic. So it is in a position where it is being hemmed or restricted by two malefics. So this is a little bit of a difficult period for relationships. You want to be very careful about how you are approaching relationships, not allowing anger or ego to get into the way of your connections. It's very important at this time. This can definitely be a time where you feel like you are stuck in a situation that you can't resolve. As this continues, though, this gets better. Venus being here in its own sign of Taurus, once again, is an excellent position. So as Venus comes out of this hemming by the Sun and Mars, this is definitely going to make relationships very peaceful, very well grounded. You can have a great deal of conversation and communication to work out any sort of conflicts. This is also an excellent time for family, as the sign of Taurus is connected to our early childhood and our sense of family and community. For some of you, Venus can also help you in the area of wealth and business, as Taurus is a very entrepreneurial sign. And Venus, of course, is all about the luxuries of life. So this is an excellent placement. Once again, Venus feels very much at home here in Taurus, so giving you a great sense of comfort and happiness. Following this, on the 14th, the Sun will enter into the sign of Aries. So Sun feels exalted in Aries, especially within the first asterism of Ashwini. So right away, coming into this energy of Sun and Aries, there is a lot of strong energies coming in. This can definitely be a time of feeling a boost in your energy levels for some of you, and really getting a feeling of confidence, of charisma, of really feeling that you are in control of things and moving forward, having that forward momentum. Following this, on the 20th, we will have a solar eclipse. And of course, the solar eclipse is a very inauspicious time, as an eclipse is always where we have a shadow body that is covering up one of our luminaries. So the darkness is blocking out the sun during the eclipse. And in this case, this will be Rahu, which is covering up the sun. So this is definitely a time to not act hastily coming into this solar eclipse. This especially being in the nakshatra of Ashwini, you want to be very careful of any sort of ego issues or any sort of impulsiveness. Ashwini is all about speed. So you want to make sure that you are thinking through all of your decisions during this eclipse. Following this, on the 21st, we will have Mercury entering into the sign of Aries retrograde. So this will actually station in the nakshatra of Bharani. So as Mercury comes retrograde here, this is always, of course, a time of review, of going over everything, making sure that you're not missing out on any of the details. But as Mercury is here in Aries, this is creating a bit of a conflict here, as Mars is not happy with Mercury, and Mercury has come into the house of Mars. So this is definitely a time to not be impulsive about your decision making. There's all of this passion and intensity that is here in Aries, where you can make quick decisions and jump ahead without thinking it through. And Bharani, where this retrograde will take place, of course, is known as the star of restraint. So there is a need for self-restraint coming into this Mercury retrograde. Once again, not making hasty decisions, but finding a sense of patience and discipline is very important. Later on the 21st, we will finally see Jupiter entering into the sign of Aries. So we've been waiting for this transit for some time now. And Jupiter, of course, is friends with Mars. So this is a very positive transit as Jupiter comes into Aries. But this is not quite like Jupiter was in its own sign of Pisces, where it was more of a hermit, more of a mystic going inward. But here in Aries, Jupiter is very active, very adventurous, very ambitious. So this is a very fiery energy. This is definitely a time of being more outgoing, of being more focused on achieving your goals and pushing forward in life. This is encouraging you to live your life to the fullest and to incorporate a sense of excitement and activity in through this Jupiter in Aries. You do want to be careful though, because as Jupiter comes into the sign of Aries, it will come into a conjunction with Rahu. So Rahu tends to blow things out of proportion. And Jupiter, of course, is already a planet of expansion. So you want to be very careful about over expanding in the area where Jupiter is placed within your natal chart. At the same time, Jupiter can help to pacify some of the negative effects of Rahu. So for those of you who have been struggling with this Rahu transit, Jupiter coming in here will bless you in this area where Rahu is positioned. So let's go ahead and talk about how this month of April will affect each of you according to your moon sign or ascendant sign. And just a quick disclaimer, I am using Vedic Sidereal astrology. So I am not using Western tropical astrology. You want to make sure that you have the correct information so that you get the right interpretation. If you are not sure what your sidereal signs are, there is a calculator down below in the description where you can find out that information. For those of you with a Capricorn moon or Capricorn ascendant, we will start off this month of April with a full moon in your 9th house. So this is definitely a time of thinking about really getting into your studies and education. This is definitely a time of finalizing something that you've been working towards, or coming to those final moments where you can see that you are getting ready for an outcome in this area. With the full moon here, this could be a time of wrapping up a book that you're publishing, a speech that you're working towards for some of you as well. So this is definitely a time of wrapping things up in this area. And of course, this will take place in Hasta, which is all about grasping onto things. So this is definitely an excellent transit for any of you who are getting into writing, who are getting into any kind of skill that involves the use of the hands, that this is definitely a time of trying to finalize things and bring things to a completion in this area. Following this, Venus will be entering into your 5th house. So this is definitely a very creative time for many of you. This is all about getting into your creative expression and getting into your abilities and talents. Once again, this is all about working towards a project or goal at this time during this month of April. Venus coming in here can definitely make you very much interested in enjoying yourself and having fun. This is a time for creative, spontaneous expression. This is all about expressing yourself in this month of April. Venus, of course, is a very positive planet for you as it rules over this 5th house, also ruling over your 10th house. So once again, anything that you're working towards, this can help you in your career as well, especially for those of you who are self-employed, really putting in a great deal of creativity and new ideas into your workspace. Excellent transit. Venus in here can also open up the door to romance as well, as this fifth house is all about romance and dating, and Venus being all about relationships. So this is definitely a time where you are feeling more expressive, more creative, more romantic at this time, really getting into enjoying yourself. This is an excellent transit. Following this will be the sun, which is entering into your fourth house here. So sun is lighting up this fourth house for you. Some of you really turning inward, especially as the sun is ruling over your eighth house. That this is a time of going inward, going into deep introspection, going into deep studies. This is excellent for any of you who once again are working towards a project, working towards a goal. This can give you incredible focus. This also is a great time for anyone who is doing research, who is getting into mysticism, the occult, astrology, all of these subjects. This really is taking you inward, giving you the space to focus in on these areas. Sun in this fourth house definitely can give a great deal of importance to your home life, to your mother, where this is an area where you are being put the spotlight in this area. So definitely you could take on some more responsibilities related to your home environment. Following this, though, there will also be a solar eclipse in this fourth house. This can create some depression, some anxiety, as Rahu is covering up the sun in this fourth house. So this can be a little bit of a dark period going through this eclipse, but hold on, because this will not last long, and we will come back into this space of the sun being here, lighting up this fourth house, lighting up your inner peace and sense of happiness. Excellent transit. Following this, there will be a Mercury retrograde that is taking place also here in this fourth house. So any of you who are getting into property concerns, legal issues, this is definitely a time to review all of the details to make sure that you are going over everything before making any decisions. This is definitely true for property, for vehicles, for anything that you are taking ownership over. You want to make sure you're looking over all of the contracts, all of the legal concerns, everything, all of the minute details. Mercury is asking you to review something very strongly here in this fourth house. And of course, this will take place in the nakshatra of Bharani. So Bharani is all about self-restraint and discipline. So this is definitely an area where you want to be patient and not jump the gun in making these major decisions. Mercury, of course, is a very beneficial planet for you as it rules over your ninth house. So this is excellent as it is helping you to really get focused in on your projects, on your goals, on your responsibilities. So this Mercury retrograde really helping you to slow down and to get more focused in this area. Lastly is the main event of Jupiter, which is entering into your fourth house as well. Now, Jupiter is a little bit of a tricky planet for those of you with Capricorn rising, Capricorn moon, especially as Jupiter is ruling over your 12th house, a house of losses, expenditure, of spirituality, of foreign locations, and isolation. So Jupiter coming into this fourth house, really taking you into deep introspection at this time once again. Definitely a month of going inward and reflecting. Jupiter, as it comes into this fourth house, though, does give you a sense of happiness and inner peace. This really is taking you inward into your own world here in this house. And of course, Jupiter also rules over your third house of Pisces. So bringing in the skill, bringing in the talent, the intellect, this definitely is a time that is excellent for improving on your skills, for really leveling up in your studies. This gives you a tremendous amount of focus and concentration in this area. Jupiter, as it aspects onto your 8th house, excellent once again for occult, mysticism, astrology, all of these subjects, deep research, really going in and dissecting information and going into deep introspection. This is an excellent transit for writers as well, really opening up your imagination. Jupiter is going to aspect onto the 12th house, once again ruling over that 12th house. So this really is about going inward. This really is about taking that time to reflect, to look at everything. Now Jupiter is also going to be aspecting the 10th house. So this can also signify working from home for some of you, or working in a really private, secluded location. So this really is taking you inward, really getting you focused on everything that needs to be done. Jupiter, though, as it aspects onto the 10th house, may demand some changes in your career as well, which can impact your home situation. Jupiter here, though, no matter how many difficulties you go through, this will help you to rise back up again. Jupiter, as it aspects onto this 10th house, is going to protect your career. So this is a very beneficial transit. Jupiter here, though, definitely can expand or change your home situation, and there can be lots of emotional ups and downs as well, as it is aspecting onto that 8th house of sudden changes. So this is definitely a big time for you to make some major life changes, to really get into that sense of happiness and inner peace. This is very strong for those of you with a Capricorn moon, Capricorn ascendant, especially after that heavy Saturn that has been sitting in your first house that has moved on into the second house. This really is about getting your life situated and making those major changes and adjustments, getting out of a space of procrastination and really seeing things move forward in this dynamic way. So this is a very, very powerful transit.